So good morning everybody and welcome to our kitchen here and to your kitchens too. It's great to see you and great to see all the class here. It's obviously slightly different to normal because I'm here in our home, you're here there at your home, and we're still able to do some cooking lessons with you. So year 9, we are going to be happy to take any comments. If you go and look down the side of the screen there, you've got your comments bar. You're happy to put any kind of comments you want to along the way. As you make those comments, we'll try and talk to you through those, answer any questions you've got. My name is obviously Mr. Man. This is my daughter Millie, and together we're going to be making pasties today. We're going to be looking at 2 different types of pastry. We're going to be making 2 different types of pastry together. We're going to be looking at the procedures. We're going to be looking at cutting skills as well. And we're going to be making some advanced pastries with you. So we're going to be making 2 types of pastry. We're going to make a short crust, which you've probably done already, so your year 9s. But we'll just recap the short crust, and then we'll go into a rough puff pastry. And we'll talk a bit about the science involved in that as well. So any questions, like I say, down the side, feel free to carry on. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, obviously we will have already done this one, but you can always leave them any comments along the bottom if you're watching this again on YouTube. That would be absolutely fine. We'll try and get back to those and answer those for you. So let's just check everybody is here. Let's have a look. We got any comments on there at the moment. We got, oh, they're coming in now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students coming on. Brilliant. Well done, girls. Well done. I can see you on there. 6, 7. Their numbers are coming up. Brilliant. Now, being as this is your for everybody else out there who's not in Torquay Girls Grammar School, this is the start of the rotation for year 9. Okay, so and we do a 2-year GCSE, so it's a 3-year Key Stage 3. So year 9 is who this lesson is at. For those who obviously you girls who are watching this live, then you know you've just started a rotation with me. So as part of that new rotation, we need to look at some of the basics and return some of those things that we need to. And the same with any of you out there who are doing this, we need to look at the first bits of food hygiene. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look at that before we begin. So I'm going to cross between both the PowerPoints and me as we go through this class today. So today we are going to be making a pasty with different pastries, and we're going to be looking at what's involved in that. So we're going to be looking at the different pastry and pasty skills, and you can need to know what those are. We're going to be looking at the different aspects of food science involved in those as well. So let's just go through what we need to do. Here we go. The learning objective is going to know the ingredients, practical skills, techniques and equipment to create 2 pastries. We're going to understand the functions and properties of the flour, fat and water. And we're going to demonstrate preparing, shaping, cooking and presenting a pasty very nicely. All of you should be able to produce a pasty today and know the functions of the ingredients. Most of you will be able to get a good quality pasty of even size. Some of you will be able to produce a really high quality, exactly an equal, and you'll be able to use your puff pastry. For those of you who are following this on YouTube, you will notice that these slides are from the Hodder Education package that we've brought into. So thank you, Hodder Education, for that. If you are in the girls who are not cooking along, then you will be using the Hodder Exploring Food and Nutrition for Key Stage 3 book, which we've got your links to and your pages that you're doing with that. Okay, so year 9, we're getting started. So to get ready for a practical lesson, you need to get yourself ready and get your area ready and collect your equipment. Now, I've sent you in advance the equipment list, and I've sent you in advance the ingredients, but we'll get those bits together. Now, no, Hattie, what is this Hattie? Now, Hattie stands for something, and let me go through and tell you exactly what that stands for. H means tie your hair back and wear a hat, or wear a hat. Wash your hands, ever so important at the moment. Put an apron on. You need to get that apron on whether you're at home or in school. Keep yourself clean and keep your food clean and safe from any kind of contamination. you need to, as part of that, you need to also make sure you've cleaned your table, get some anti-bac spray or clean down wherever you're going to be using and work surface you're going to be using on. Collect a tray with all those ingredients on, collect all the ingredients you need. So collect a tray, get all the ingredients on there and get all the equipment you need. So that is what we mean by Hattie. So H-A-T-T-I-E. So if you can all be starting to do that right now for me, that would be great. We're going to do that as well. Okay, so let's go back to things, and there we go. Right, so Millie, got your hair tied back?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Got your apron on?
Yeah.
Excellent. I need to do the very same thing, and then we're going to go over and go and wash our hands. So Millie, if you wouldn't mind taking that one, thank you very much. We're just going to go over to the sink, and while we do that, I'm going to get myself ready. I'm ready to go. Excellent. So we are just going to get ourselves ready. I'm going to get mine. Millie, do you want to do the hand washing? Let's show everybody. How long do we need to wash our hands for, Millie? 20 seconds, that's right. And it's not just doing the fronts, it's doing the backs. It's between your fingers. Don't get to rub your thumbs as well. Make sure they're all between those. And finally, the wrists as well with all the soap. And once you've done all that, don't forget, then we need to make sure we are properly washing our hands with hot soapy water. Make sure your sleeves are rolled up and make sure your hair is tied up. Let's make sure we are ready to cook, all hygienically ready to cook. Okay, so I've got my bits and pieces on. I'm going to wear my food teacher centre pieces there. There we go. Get my white sun, get my apron on, and I'm going to do the very same thing as well. That's it. Good. Use it to dry those hands off as well. Can you make sure you are all doing this along at home? Okay, we've got some of you still doing that. Any comments? Say no, that's fine. If you've got anything to say, just put those on. So I'm doing the backs of my hands, I'm doing the fronts, I'm doing the backs, I'm doing my thumbs. I'm just making sure every part of my hands are properly clean. See, very important at the moment that we do that and we keep our hands clean at all times. And then we just need to make sure it's hot soapy water, and again between those fingers, right the way around, hands, make sure you're properly clean. We are washing these for 20 seconds. Okay, everybody, make sure that is that 20 seconds. So happy birthday twice is absolutely fine. Or if you want to, you can count only once, just count into 20 to make sure they are properly clean. Or if you're unsure, just carry on and do it a little bit more. Fabulous. Can't overdo this at the moment. Alrighty. Okay, let's dry all those off. Let's get ourselves cleaned up and let's head back to where we're going to be working in our kitchen. Fabulous. Thank you, Millie. Alrighty. Okay, let's get back to it. All right, so we've got our nice clean hands. Millie, show your nice clean hands. Fabulous. And now we're going to be getting ready to do our cooking along. Now, if you are doing this live, then obviously you can pause. You can rewind at any point and you can carry on. If you're watching this again on YouTube, you've obviously got that availability as well to do that with us. So great to have you on board. We are now going to have a look at making our pasty. So let me just get up let's get up the recipes so you've all got an idea of what we're doing. Obviously some of those who are sent in advance, and I'll post at the bottom here, but let's get this recipe up and running and so you know what we're doing and how we're going to be doing it and what equipment we need. All right, so here we go. Okay, so equipment wise, you need to get a tablespoon. We need to be getting a tablespoon there, a teaspoon, a butter knife, a sharp knife. That can be a sharp chef's knife or a sharp knife that you've got around you. You're going to need a mixing bowl. You're going to need some small round plate or some large biscuit cutters. However you want to do it, whether you want large pasties or small pasties today, that's up to you. Rolling pin, a grater is optional if you're using a cheese in yours, and a pastry brush, again, that's optional if you wish to do that as well. So make sure you get all that equipment ready. It's good to go and get a tray and go and collect all that equipment from around your kitchen. Get yourselves together. So a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a butter knife, that's just a normal rounded butter knife there. Some sort of sharp knife, like a chef's knife, you can have available. You need a small round plate. If you've got some biscuit cutters, That would be great. A rolling pin and a grater, which is optional, and a pastry brush, which is optional. Okay, ingredients. The main ingredients we're going to need to make our pastry is going to be plain flour. Now, if you're struggling getting hold of ingredients at the moment and plain flour is not what you've got and you've got an alternative, maybe you've got bread flour, maybe you've got strong flour, these flours will make a pastry. Don't be worried by that, but ideally we're looking at a plain flour. If you've got some of that, that's great. And depending on how many pastries you're going to make will depend on how much pastry and how much flour you're going to need. From a basics level, we're going to be starting with a few hundred grams of the flour to go with that. Butter. Now, I've got some comments down the side here. That's fine. Yes, if you are doing, it can be a vegan butter. That is absolutely fine. We are looking at butter on here, and ideally it's a cold one. So keep that in the fridge until we absolutely need that. But yeah, you can use a vegan butter. That's absolutely fine. Lemon juice, optional. Don't need to worry about that if you haven't got any of that. Milk and eggs, again, a glaze is optional. And yes, I can see that pinging in again. That's absolutely fine. If it's vegan, we don't need to use milk or eggs. We can just use some water, and I'll show you how we can do that and still get a lovely shine on it as well. And then 100 grams of your chosen filling for your pasty. Now, there's lots of different things that we can do, and for those of you, I've sent it in advance. I've given you some options, and for those who are watching it on YouTube, I will post those in the comments below. There's lots of different options we can use when we're doing that, but you can use what you want. We're going to be using a cheese, onion and potato into ours, which is absolutely fine to do. We're going to season it with some curry powder and stock. We're going to be using a few different things, a few different bits and pieces to go into ours. You can go with a traditional beef steak if you've got beef steak, if you've got beef, if you've got chicken, wonderful. But we want to keep it simple and keep to the sort of lockdown larder essentials that you might have in your house already. Okay, and here is the recipe. Now, I'll post this below, and I've already posted this before, but I'm going to go through this in a bit more detail. We're going to be starting, this is our basic short crust pastry. This is a sort of pastry year 9 that you may have done in year 7 and 8 before. So this maybe if you're making tarts. It's a nice crumbly pastry, and that's what we're going to be having a look at first of all. And we'll just recap on that one if you've not done it before. With that one is just the flour, the water, sorry, the flour, the margarine, the butter, and some ice cold water. And we're going to be rolling that one out, and I'll show you how to do that one. The second is the rough puff pastry. This is your more advanced one. This is one I'd like all of the year 9s to have a go at. Again, I'm going to show you this one. Similar types of ingredients. The quantities are different. The ratios to flour and fat, and I'll explain those ones as we go along. But this is your second recipe, and we're going to try and have a go at both of these today because I'd like you to recap on your learning on the short crust, and then I'd like you all to have a go at your rough puff today. All right, now while we're doing that one, we're going to go back. We're going to go back and we're going to start with this one here. You'll notice that is 150 grams of plain flour for 75 grams of butter. Well, it's putting margarine, that should be butter in there. I'll change that one in a moment. 75 grams of butter, and we're going to be doing some cutting in and rubbing in. That's one quantity, and half the ratios. We're doing half the fat to flour on that one. Okay, let's go back to me and Millie. Hello there. Right, let me just go and wash my anti-bac spray on that one. There we go. Right. Okay, so we are going to be making the pastry first of all, the short crust pastry. We're going to be revisiting what you may have done already, go through the short crust pastry and learning how we're going to do that one, aren't we, Millie? Yeah. Fabulous. So what we're going to need for this is we are going to need a bowl, and we are going to need a butter knife, and we are going to need some fat or butter. Now our fat or butter is in the fridge. Millie, do you want to go and grab us a block of butter from the fridge? Fabulous. There we go. We've got some bowls here ready to go. Here we go. I will use a see-through one so you can see what I'm doing, and there's one for you, Millie, as well. So you've got one as well. And we are going to have a go at making this. Let me move this one, the camera further out, so you can all see what we're up to there. There we go. Just just going to rearrange things slightly over here for you so you can all see what we're up to. There we go. I think you can just about see. Oh, there we go. Let's move that over there. Move all the cables out of the way so you can see what we're up to. All right. So here we are. We are at our work surface. We're using our kitchen table. And we've got both our bowls, haven't we, Millie? Yeah. You've got your bowl, I've got my bowl. Now, we're going to need to start by mixing up our butter and our flour. Move that one out of the way. And we're going to need half quantities here. So we're going to be using 150 grams of flour and then the butter. So flour first. Let's get the flour in there. We're using 150 grams worth of flour. Now, that's quite nice and neatly. Now, you might not have scales at home. That's OK. Obviously, in school, very much keep to the scales. We're looking at measuring out 150 grams. If you've got 150 grams, you can get scales to measure that out. Brilliant. That's what we're going to start with. If you haven't got scales, how could you measure out 50 grams at a time in it? Yeah. With your hands, absolutely. So we washed our hands very nicely. So you're going to get your hand in there. And we're going to go in with our plain flour. So with 50 grams, so how many handfuls do we need? Three, absolutely. There we go. 1, 2, 3. And do you want to do the same for me? I need the same as well. So we're going with 150 grams of flour into this. We're going to whack it in, have a bit of fun with this one today. There we go. Have I got 3 in there? I'm going to need a little bit more in mine. There we go. And a little bit more in yours as well. Now, to our 150 grams of flour, we're going to need to add into that our fat. Now, if we've got 150 grams of fat, how much? Sorry, 150 grams of flour. How much fat do we need to do? What's half to 150? 75 grams. Well done. We've got maths in this as well. We can do all sorts of teaching in our food. We're going to do maths, we're going to do science, we're going to get it all in there. Now the great thing again, if you've got scales, fabulous. Now some kitchens just as somebody else has got in. Margarine is absolutely okay. Somebody's just put in there. We're looking at fat. Now different fats will have different effects on that. That's absolutely fine. That question has just come in. Margarine is okay with that one. Keep it as cold as possible. Different sorts of fat are going to have different effects on your pastry. Now, I know, like I say, we're in lockdown larders at the moment. A lot of you haven't been out. We haven't been out since last Wednesday, wasn't it? Last Wednesday. We've been in lockdown since last Wednesday in this household. So you might be struggling to get hold of your fats. So different fats will do different things. And we're going to talk about how that affects the flour and the food science behind that. But for the moment, that's absolutely fine. I can see the questions coming in again. Margarine will be okay with this one if you keep it as cold as possible. It depends what these things have got. It's different water quantities, and we'll tell you how that affects your pastry in a moment. But for the sake of what we're doing today, we're having a bit of fun with food and learning about food and getting a bit of teaching going on. That we'll use what we've got at home. We have got some fat, last bit of fat before delivery arrives on Thursday. So we've got some of that. Now, if you haven't got scales, I'm just coming back to that. How am I going to measure this out? Well, the great thing is with a lot of these, actually you'll see it says on the outside, and you can see that on the camera, it will actually say 50 grams or 25 grams along there. So you can always just measure it along. So that's what we're going to do today. And in fact, shall I let you do all the work today? Yeah, you're going to do all the work today. So I will cut you out some fat here. So we've got 75 grams. So let me just get you 75 grams of fat. I'm going to let Millie do all the work today, I think. I'll do the teaching, you can do the work. So we got 75 grams of fat. There we are, our fat. Now, let's touch on a bit of size. If you're people watching this and you're year 10 and 11, you're having a go at this, the difference between whether the fat is a soft fat or a harder fat or even a liquid fat is called plasticity. Okay, it's the different states of which your fat is in due to the room temperature or the melting points of those fats, and that's called plasticity. There's one for your year 10s and 11s there. Right. Fat. This is a hard fat. It's a cold fat. It's going into the flour. Millie, do you want to do it inside my bowl so the rest of them on the camera can see? Is that okay? And we'll just we'll put that one in there. Okay. So Millie has got her 175 grams of flour. There we are. Show it to the camera, and you've got your fat in there. Yeah. Now we're going to do two processes. And so we're doing the shortcrust pastry first. This is all short crust, and then we'll move on to the rough puff pastry, which is like a laminated pastry. It means it's got lots of layers in it. We are going to be doing that one first. So Millie, we're going to do two skills here. That's great. We'll just move the camera down to you so you can see that. We've got two skills going on. I'll go down a bit lower so you can see me. I've got two skills going on. First skill is really technical skill. It's called cutting in. Millie, what does cutting in involve, do you think?
Cutting in.
Absolutely. It says exactly what it does exactly what it says on the tin. We are going to do cutting in, and that involves cutting in. So with your round butter knife and your bowl, I'd like you to cut your butter in teeny tiny small. Okay, we want to cut it teeny tiny small, Millie. We would like to cut it, you know when you eat rabbit poos?
No.
You don't eat rabbit poos?
No.
All right, let's think about this one. How about raisins, sultanas?
Yeah.
Raisins, sultanas, or M&Ms, or Skittles, or any other chocolatey confection of those sort of variety. We are cutting it that teeny tiny small, okay? Now you're going to be cutting it up using the butter knife against the bowl. So that's exactly what Millie's doing right now. She's cutting it up teeny tiny small. So we've got them at the size of a large raisin, a rabbit poo. We're going to be cutting those up teeny tiny small, and this is called cutting in. Now, the reason that we do that when we're doing a short crust pastry is we're getting the fat, so it's teeny tiny small, all around those little bits of flour. And it's going to be tiny short pieces of fat in there, and we're going to be cutting them up so they try and form some little waterproof jackets all over those bits of flour. We want to get them up so that all those little bits of flour have got these tiny protective waterproof jackets on, and this is the process of shortening that leads to a short crust pastry. So to do that, obviously the flour is teeny tiny small, we need to make sure the butter is teeny tiny small. How are we doing, Millie? All right, okay. Now a little trick here. So you want to know whether the fat is small enough already. Have you got uniform cuts of fat? Have you got that going through already? What you need to do then is you need to check by giving the bowl a little tap onto the table. Okay, so that's it. Do it again, Millie. Okay, by tapping this bowl, what we're going to do is we're going to get all the larger pieces are going to come to the top, and then we'll know whether we missed any bits or whether we need to chop down some bits even smaller. And that cutting in process, that shortening process, where we start to get those bits of flour all coated with butter. How are we doing?
All right.
Good. I will explain the food science of that when we're chilling this pastry in a minute, and I will explain why we need to do this one. Okay, have we cut it teeny tiny small?
A bit, yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, needs a bit large bumps. You happy with that? Yeah?
Yeah. Okay,
she's happy with that. I'm happy with that. We've done the first process, which is the cutting in. Is everybody okay with that at home? Let me just have a look. Anyone want to just message me to say that they need any more time on that? Just give it a few moments. Here we go. Just watching this as we come in. Anyone more? No, looks like we're okay there. Looks like we're all right. Everybody's up to that stage. So we've done the cutting in. So we're going to make two types of pastry today. We're going to have a go at both. And if you want to pause or rewind or carry on, girls, that's absolutely fine. If you are watching at home, you can obviously do that through YouTube. Right. So we have now done the cutting in. Happy?
Yeah.
Brilliant. The next bit is another very technical skill. This is called rubbing in. Any idea what that involves?
Rubbing in.
Absolutely. This involves rubbing in. Again, it does exactly what it says. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to get our fingertip. Now, it's very important that we use our end of our pinchy fingers. So if you want to show me pinchy fingers at home, there we go. That's it. Like tiny little pinchy fingers. Millie, show me your pinchy fingers. There we go. Now, we need to use the teeny tiny ends of our pinchy fingers because what's the ingredient in there?
Butter.
Butter.
Flour.
And what's going to happen if we put warm fingers in there?
It'll melt.
It will melt. Absolutely. So we need to try and keep. That's it, we need to keep that teeny tiny small. So what we're going to do is, and we need to get that butter so it doesn't melt. So what we're going to do is going to use the very ends of our fingers, which are the coldest parts of our hand, and we're going to lift and tickle. And as we're doing this, we're going to be crumbling down that butter or fat into even smaller bits, so it's combined all the way around the flour. So that's exactly what we're doing next. We're going to be lifting and tickling and lifting it all the way around. You're doing a brilliant job there, Millie. High as you can. Now, if we get this higher, for those, we're going to whack in there another bit of food science for you. Let's get some more science in there as well. Teaching science through food. We are the practical application of maths, food and science here in food. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we are aerating our mixture. What's that mean? What's it mean? Well, what we're doing is we're getting air into our mixture, because every time it's being lifted up, not only we're crumbling down that fat so it's teeny tiny small and covering all of those little bits of flour and shortening, so we cover those little bits of flour, little waterproof jacket, we are also going to be getting some air in. We're trapping some air into our mixture, aerating our mixture. So nice and high, crumbling, and that's the kind of mixture we want to be doing. Nice and high, crumbling it all the way down. That's it. Not too much on the work surface. We're going to be crumbling that down so it goes teeny tiny small. Now, if your mixture starts to turn a yellowy colour, stop. It means you're melting your butter. Okay. What we just need to do is we're trying to create a crumble here. Okay. So if you've made a crumble before at home, a fruit crumble, a savoury or sweet crumble before, this is kind of like the first bit that you'll be doing there. We are crumbling the butter up into the flour so it's teeny tiny small. How are we doing with that? Is that nice and small now?
Yeah.
It should start to look like a crumble, and ideally what the consistency we're looking for is something a bit like a really harsh sand, so a really pebbly type sand, or that kind of very shingly type of affair. So it's completely disappearing, making that butter disappear. It's all disappearing. Is it disappearing? Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have a go as well. Let's do this one together. We're good. Just going to crumble that one up. There we go. And we're going to crumble. Does it look like a fruit crumble now, really?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we're crumbling that up. So we've now got it. And again, same as before. If you want to just check that you've done it all, just give it a little tap on the table, not too hard with the glass bowl. Just give it a little tap on there until you've got it nice and crumbly. Okay, well, we've got a nice crumbly mix, and this is the start of your short crust pastry. So this will be a very crumbly pastry to make pasty out of. But if you're looking for a simple pastry, that's how we start. And we're going to recap on this. There are two. The next pastry I'm going to do is rough puff. Different sort of situation completely. There's two different things we want to happen with both of these, and we're going to talk about those in a minute when we start to get this one to chill. All right, so we have now created a lovely crumble, and we go. You can see that on the camera. We've got a lovely thin crumble going on there. It's lovely in there. We just say, don't let, if it starts to go yellow, stop. Okay, that just means the butter's starting to melt, so we need to stop anyway. But we've got a lovely crumbly mixture going on there. I'm very happy with that. Okay, next thing, we need to get that ready to make our pasties. So is that ready to make our pasties yet?
No.
Why not?
Because it's really crumbly.
It's really crumbly. It's actually too crumbly. So what we need to do now is we need to glue all that together. So if you can go and get some glue for me. No, we're not going to use glue. That would be crazy. But we are going to glue it all together. Now, in cookery terms, we call that binding. We're going to bind all our ingredients back together. Now, to do that, we're going to use some ice cold water. Now, why are we using ice cold water, Millie?
To glue it together.
Yeah, why ice cold, not hot? What's the ingredients in here?
Butter.
Absolutely. So what happens if we put hot water in here?
It will melt.
It's going to melt. Okay, so what we need to do is we get some ice cold water. So, Millie, you go and get a jug from the cupboard there, one of those little jugs, and get some cold water. Now we're going to get ice cold water from the tap here, and we're going to just put in there, and we're going to use our tablespoon at this point. Now we're going to be putting in a little bit of butter at a time. Okay, so a little bit of water at a time. Ice cold water. Try and keep it as cold as you can, and we're going to only put a couple of tablespoons at a time. Not too much here. It's always easy. You can always, add a little bit more, but it's very hard to take it away from a mixture. Okay, virtually impossible. So what we're going to do is we're going to be pouring in a little at a time. So if I hold the spoon, if you fill up the spoon, okay, let's do another one. Okay, now we've put the spoon in there. Next one, knife. You get your butter knife back, and you're going to stir that around the bowl. We're going to try and bring all that back together. Okay, and as you're stirring it, press it against the side of the bowl at the same time. So if you can stir and press that at the same time, and we're going to bind all of that back together. And we're just going to you want to try and keep the amount of water you put into this to an absolute minimum, but we're going to just try and get enough in there just to bind it all together. So I've got my spoon here. How's that coming? Is that binding all together?
A bit, yeah.
A bit. Let's go with a little bit more then. So I've got some ice cold water from the tap again. Just going to pour that in while you're doing that. And let's do that one and stir that one and press it and stir it against the side just so it binds it together. Not too much in there. So how many spoonfuls is that? Three so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Starting to come together into larger balls now. Excellent. We're getting some balls of dough going on in there now as we start to bind that one together. All right. So I'll just go in another one. How much is that?
4.
4, excellent. Okay, let's keep binding that all together. We're binding, squeezing it all together there. Brilliant, good, love it. Okay, there we go, just binding all of that in together. 4, I think we probably need maybe one more. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
One more in there. There we are. How many is that up to now?
5.
5, that sounds like a good number for there. Now, if you want to get maximum control of your bowl, can I just take it to jump in there? You imagine you've got a younger brother or something like this, and you've got them in a headlock, So you've got maximum control, and you can just, I'm using the side of the knife here, so I'm getting a bit closer. So we're using the side of the knife, and we're going to press it into the side of the bowl as we turn it. Okay, so don't be tempted to pour all the water in at the same time. If you pour all the water in at the same time, you're going to end up with a soggy mess, and that's not going to make any kind of crispy, crumbly pastry. Okay, I'm going to press it, I'm going to fasten now, and I'm just going to press that in. I don't know if you can see that from the camera there. Okay, there we go. And that is starting to come into a big dough ball there in the middle. I reckon we might just get away, or maybe just one more spoonful, Millie. Do you want to do that one for me? Let's move the camera up a little bit. There we go, so you can all see what we're up to. Perfect. Ice cold water, sorry?
6.
6 spoonfuls. Good idea. Yep. Okay, so we're going with 6 spoonfuls we've done. There we go. Now it's a slightly not quite accurate with our measuring of flour, so we may have gone over. That's why we needed that one. But you can see there that we've now got our dough ball in there, and that is our shortcrust pastry. Now we need to let that rest for 15 minutes. Okay, so if you've got some greaseproof paper or some wrapping paper, greaseproof paper or clean film, you can just get some of that. Let me turn some of this off. Okay, and are you all right, Millie, to go and put that in the fridge now? Yeah. There we go. There's a piece of greaseproof paper. We're just going to take that out, put it into the greaseproof paper. Use your fingers to get it out. There we go. Okay. And we're just going to wrap that up. And we're going to put that one into the fridge for 15 minutes. Do you want to put a timer on, Millie? Yeah. Are we okay there? Yeah. Okay, we're just going to put that one into the fridge to chill. There we go. That's enough. There we go. There, we'll stop there. Perfect. Okay, so we've got that one resting. Now let's talk about what's going on there and what we have done with the shortcrust pastry. So we've got a few different things going on. Oh, some of the messages pinged through there. No, well, okay, there, everyone coming through. We've got a few different things going on. We are making a shortcrust pastry. So let's go to the whiteboard here. The first one we're making is a shortcrust pastry. Okay, there we go. Shortcrust pastry. Now, food science there. I don't know if you can quite. Oh, can you quite see that one? Shall we just switch the lights and we might be able to see that one better. There we go. And shut the curtains there, and we might be able to see that one better. See what's going on. You can see one. Can you read that one? What it says there? There we go. Oh, wait, you can't see it because it's on the out of camera. That's why. Shortcrust pastry. There we go. So we've got shortcrust pastry going on over here, and that's the first thing we are making. Now, shortcrust pastry. What were the 2 ingredients, Millie, in shortcrust pastry?
Butter and flour.
Butter and flour.
And water as well. But... yeah,
and water, a little bit of water in there as well. So let's think about that flour. Okay, in the flour, we have got 2 things, 2 proteins. Okay. Any idea what the proteins are? You're in year 7, you wouldn't know what these proteins are. Year 9s, you might know what the proteins are. If you're in year 10 and 11, you should definitely know what these 2 proteins are. And these 2 proteins are called gliadine and glutenin. Okay, glutenin. Long names. Okay, gliadine and glutenin, 2 proteins. So these are both proteins. Let's write that down here. Okay. Now, they are both proteins in our flour, gliadine and glutenin. Now, when we start to add a liquid to it, did we add liquid to that?
Yes.
Okay, we did. We added liquid to that. We're going to be able to combine these 2 proteins, and we are going to be able to create a brand new protein. Now, this protein is both gluey, okay, and sticky and stretchy. Now, what other things are gluey out there and stretchy? What other things are sticky? What would you stick things together with? Glue. Okay. Now, glue and what we're going to talk about next both come from the same word. Okay. But what the new thing is we're going to create is actually called gluten. Okay. Gluten. Now, gluten. We are going to end up creating a brand new protein called gluten. Now, this gluten is amazing stuff. It is very, very sticky. like glue, and they both get their actual names from the same thing, that stickiness. They're gluten and glue. It's very sticky. It's also got some really strange properties. Now, if I get a balloon and I stretch it, what's going to happen to you?
It'll ping.
It will ping back, yeah. A balloon is very, very stretchy. Okay, now imagine if I put my thumb inside a pot of putty, you know, the ones that make the rude noises. Yeah, and if I squeezed it right down, what's going to happen to it? If I squeeze it into a particular shape, what's going to happen when I take my thumb out?
It might stick to you.
It might stick to me, and what's going to happen to it? Is it going to stay the same shape when I take my thumb out?
No, it's going to move shape.
It's going to go back to the same shape. Now, from a food science point of view, we've got two things going on. Elastic, like a balloon, and we've got plastic. So if you put your thumb into that putty or putty, if you put it in, it will go back to its shape, okay? So we've got plastic and elastic, two different properties that gluten have, and they come from our gliadin and glutenin. One's got one property, one's got another, but when we combine them together, this gluten is got both of those things going on. It is both stretchy and elastic, and if you put your thumb inside it and move it around, and it's plastic, it'll come back to its original shape. Now, gluten is absolutely brilliant for bread making. Okay, it forms a lovely structure when we cook it, and it's really, really good, and it's just what we need. However, with a crumbly pastry, we don't want it. We don't want it. We don't want it. We don't want it. We want to get rid of it. We want to get rid of this gluten. But how are we going to do that one? And this is where, what's the other ingredient? Flour and
butter.
Our fat comes in. Okay, fat. So what we were doing there, what were we doing with the fat? You remember what we did with it? What did we do to it?
Made it go, combined it with the flour.
Yeah, absolutely. We combined it with the flour. What did we do? We combined it with the flour, and that combining with the flour is what stops the gluten. Now, that fat is waterproof. Okay, that fat has provided tiny, weeny little microscopic waterproof jackets all over it. So if you put a poncho on, if you imagine you were a flower, and I put you a waterproof jacket on, go and get a waterproof jacket from coming out by the stairs. Millie's going to go and get her waterproof jacket. She is going to pretend she's a bit of flour, and she's going to shorten herself. Okay, we got a jacket, Millie? Fab. Okay, she's got her jacket. Here we are. Right, brilliant. Put your waterproof jacket on. This is Millie putting her waterproof jacket on. Millie is now going to be a piece of flour, and she has now covered herself with fat. Well, she hasn't, but we have. When we shortened the fat into that, we've created a waterproof jacket all over Millie. So when I start throwing the water at her now and start flicking water at her, what's happening is she's staying dry because she's got this waterproof jacket of fat on. And that's what happens with the shortening process. All these tiny little bits of flour need waterproof jackets, like Millie just got her waterproof jacket on. I like the colouring there. It's food teacher centre colouring. I like it. I love it. So she's got a waterproof jacket on, and she there has been able to stay dry like these little bits of flour. So we don't get lots of this gluten being formed, because gluten only happens when you start to add water to the flour and start adding action to it, and then you work the gluten. And we don't want a hard type of thick and bread-like pastry. We want a crumbly pastry with a shortcrust pastry. We want something that's going to be delicate and crumble in the mouth. If you think of a piece of bread and you're chewing that, you don't want chewy shortcrust pastry. So that is why we shorten it down. And we want to try and stop the gluten making. You can take the jacket off now. Thank you, Millie. We're going to just quickly go and wash your hands again. Yeah. So with shortening, what we're doing is we're using that fat there to stop this gluten being formed. Okay, we can stop that happening by using the fat to shorten into the flour. A bit of food science there. Now that's great for shortcrust pastry, but we also want today to show you about another type of pastry. We want to show you that rough puff pastry. So to show you the rough puff pastry, we need gluten. I just said we don't need gluten for pastry, and then the next one, we need gluten. How? Why? What for? So let's explain what we're doing with the next pastry while we wait for that first one too. So I'm just going to quickly go back to our PowerPoint, where we're going to look at the recipe for the next one. Okay, so let's do that now, and let's just shoot across to it. Okay. So what we've got here on the board is we have got the Devon pasties. Okay, this is a rough puff. Now you'll notice that this pastry, it requires a lot of folding, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to fold the fat into the pastry. I'll show you in a bit more detail. If we go to the next slide, we can see just into the next slide exactly what I mean by this. Here we go. If I go down, we're going to be doing some rolling, some folding, some turning. We're going to trap the butter in. Okay, so we're going to trap the butter into it, and we're going to roll and fold and roll and fold. And we're going to, as we trap it in, we're going to sandwich or seal a tent of air and fat into this one, and we're going to keep doing that. Now, for our pastry to be strong enough and stretchy enough to cover and sandwich in all that fat and flour, we are going to need something that is strong and stretchy. And in this one, we're going to need gluten. So we've looked at two different types of pastry here. One that is definitely going to need the gluten, and one that is not going to need the gluten. One that we stop the glutening by that process we call shortening, where we create tiny little waterproof jackets all around our flour using the fat. And the second one, where we're going to be sandwiching it all together to create ourselves what we call a laminated pastry. That means one where there are layers of fat in there, and there is layers of air in there, and we're going to be trapping layers in there that are going to expand and form ourselves a really nice puff pastry. Okay, let's come back to the slide then, and let's go back to the pastry making. And let's go to pastry making Mark 2. Okay, so welcome back. As if by magic, the board has now cleaned itself off, and we are ready to go for the next pastry. Hurrah! We are going to be making an advanced pastry now. So year 9, this is where you should be. So we've revisited your lessons from last couple of years, and we are now going to bring it forward into a new and higher level. We are going to take it to the next level as far as pastry goes. We're going to take it to a rough puff pastry. Now you can go puff pastry, but we're going to go rough puff pastry, sort of in between the two. But it's a great skill to have a lamination of pastry. And when you get to GCSE, this is a lovely advanced pastry for you to be able to do. Okay, so let's get on with this one. Let's go down to our bowls. Here we go. Thank you, Millie. Move the camera down there. We'll just get that one on there so we can all see what we're doing. Let's turn the lights on. Brilliant. You can all see us now. We have our bowl. Again, now we now need to work on flour and fat. Now for the rough puff pastry, we need equal quantities of flour and fat. So what did we put last time? We did at different quantities, didn't we?
150 flour and 75 butter.
Yeah, we did full and then half. This one is equal quantities. Okay, we want to try and keep it equal amounts. Quite a lot of fat. So when we're thinking about healthy diets and healthy food, this is not. This is not in the area where you should be having all the time. Okay, this is like a treat. Okay, this is something that you should be having on occasions, the high fat piece. But from a skill level, this is a really good piece to have as well. So we're making this sort of nice, if you think about a pasty, this is like the really bubbly type of pastry on the top. You get that really lumpy, bubbly, nice thick pastry, a nice crunch on it. This is not the delicate short crust that you've just made. This is not that crispy, delicate pastry. This is a nice, chewy one. And don't forget, the chewiness is going to come from what we're going to make. Can you remember? It begins with G. It's very gluey. Gluten. We're going to have gluten in this one. So this one is going to be a chewy one. This is the kind of traditional pasty pastry. So we're going to wait till I go. It's tricky, and it's quite a lot of skill involved. A lot of repetitive skill. But let's have a go with this one. Now, the first thing we're going to need in this one is we're going to need some flour. Got flour? Yeah. Fabulous. And we're going to need equal quantities. So let's go with, and depending on how many pasties you've got, on the recipe, I think I did 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of it. Oh, we just got another message come in. What if I don't have a rolling pin? Don't worry if you don't have a rolling pin. I'm going to show you how to do this without a rolling pin because that's fine. That's a fantastic message. Thank you very much for coming in on that one. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you don't have a rolling pin there. We can show you without a rolling pin, and we can show you how some makeshift rolling pins as well, things you could use instead of that one. So first thing is, let's get the flour in there. So we're just using a plain old bog standard cheap flour into this one. We're going to be putting, I think, should we go with 150 of, but we're going to need to have, if we have 150 of flour, how much butter we're going to need to put? Oh, we're going to need to put 150 in that one as well. Okay, go for it. You put that one in there. I'm going to get the fat, which is here. Fabulous. Okay, there we go. Big chunk of fat. Okay, they're getting very messy today, aren't we? Yeah. So I want to show you what it's like at home. We're going to. Oh, the timer is just gone. We just keep that one in the fridge for a moment. That's fine. We can keep that one in the fridge for a little bit longer. But timer's just, that's 15 minutes. If you've been following us, that's your 15 minutes for your timer for your pastry, your shortcrust pastry, which is in there. While I was talking about a bit of food science and shortening and gluten. That's all done. Right, big block of butter in here now. We are going to get the butter into here. Okay, but not yet. What's that stuff we need to make? Gluten. Gluten is made with flour and, can you remember what else? Exactly, flour and water. So we need to make gluten. Having said we didn't want it with our crispy, crumbly pastry, we want it with our strong, robust pasty pastry. So we're going to be putting this in now. Same as before, we can. You don't want to put too much water into this. You want to put just enough to glue it all together. Not gluing it. What's that word when we glue it all together? Food. We don't glue it. We begins with B. Bind it. Yes, we bind it all together. So we're going to be binding it together. So if we put in a couple of spoonfuls in there, 1, 2. That should be enough. 3. We'll start with the 3. And you got your butter knife. So Millie is going to now stir this really vigorously until she has got herself some bowl of gluten. She is going to be adding energy in there. She is going to be adding water in there. It's a bit like, I suppose, if you were, this is like a bread mix without any of the yeast and all the food that the yeast needs in it to make a dough. You may have done this when you were at primary school, when you made a glue and you needed glue for maybe covering a balloon with bits of torn up newspaper, and you want to make paper mache and you wanted the glue there. So you may have used it at primary school. You may have used flour and water there. We're making that kind of mix, not as gloopy as you might do for making paper mache, but we want a nice dough here. But we're same principle. We're making something gluey. Water and we need some more in there. Yeah. Okay. So how many do we put in there already? 3. 3. Let's try and do another one. Another one. I'll just be your sous chef today. I'll be your helper. Okay, so she's stirring that one together very vigorously, like I say, trying to create the gluten. So you are going to combine 2 proteins, glutenin and gliadin, that are in the flour already, and she's bashing them together and she's adding liquid together, and she's going to create that brand new protein, gluten, and that is going to be what's in here right now. So we're going to be having that going on for us, aren't we? So we can keep doing that one. There we go. Let's move the camera around so everyone can see a bit more. There we go, and we just keep bashing that one and keep moving that one around. Fabulous. Let's move that one over there and move that one over there. There we go, so everyone can see what's going on. We'll move that one there. All right, so it's starting to come together in a dough ball. Yeah. Nearly. I reckon we're going to do another spoonful in there, and we will be there. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, there we go. So we want to try and make sure we don't add too much water into this. You can always, if you do make a mistake and you do add a little bit more, you can always just add a little bit of flour if you need to as well. So let me just, while we're doing that, I'm just going to check any more questions we've got coming down here from the class. No, we're okay at the moment. Everyone seems to be all right. Is everyone okay making this second pastry? We just say with this one, just flour and water. What sort of water are we using? Just to remind everyone, what sort of cold water. We're using a cold water on this one because what we're going to go in. What's going to go in there? What's going to be going into that? Butter. That's right. Butter's going to be going into it. And if the butter's going to go into there, what's going to happen if we put warm water in it?
It will melt.
It will melt. Okay, so we need to keep it. Now, if you were a traditional pastry chef, say in one of those posh pastry chefs from Paris, maybe, and you were making your pastry there, you would actually have rooms. They have rooms in their different restaurants for making pastries. These are chilled rooms, so they keep them when you're making the pastry. It keeps that butter really cold. If you wanted it to make, if you really wanted to make some of the best pastries, what they suggest is you actually chill the bowl beforehand. You can actually keep the bowl chilled in advance, as well as chilling the butter in advance and chilling your water in advance. So you get every aspect of that when chilled and cooled down. Okay, we ready for that one? We're going to be doing that one. One more then. So that's 6, isn't it? Yeah, we go. I think it's 6. Remind me if I'm not 7, is it? Okay. Okay, and we're just going to have a look and start to see if that's coming together. It is starting to come together. It's kind of like a flock stage at the moment. I'm going to just add a teeny tiny bit more just to bring that together. Okay, so I'm just going to, as we did before, I'm pressing against the side of the bowl with the knife as I stir it, and you can see that that is coming together into a nice sticky mess. What is going to be a bowl full of gluten. Okay, we have got now a sticky ball of dough in there. Now, whereas the other one we wanted to rest, why did we let that one rest? Well, really good question. They might just come in. Why did you rest that one? Why have we put it in the fridge? The reason we put that other one in the fridge was obviously to keep the butter chilled inside, which is what we want to do, and make sure that's chilled inside. But also, it's going to let it all rest, okay? Because with that one, any gluten that had been formed, we want it to rest. Relax. We don't want it to be too tight with a shortcrust pastry because it has to be crisp and crumbly away in the mouth. It's the sort of pastry you use for a jam tart, or and there's a teacher there like the jam tarts. That's the jam tart recipe. That's the shortcrust one. This one is your perfect pasty, but you can make them out of both, and we're going to show you it, and you're going to get to see the difference between that when you make the 2 pasties in a minute. All right, so you can see in the middle there, we have now got ourselves a dough ball. Now, well, that one we needed to rest. It's chilled and it's relaxing. We need a beautiful, crispy, lovely pastry. With this one, we can be a little bit more vigorous with this one, so much so that if we needed to, if it's coming together into a ball and more, you could really start to hit this one like you would do with a bread. Now, if you were making this with a bread, what's that hitting that putting loads of action into it called?
Kneading. Kneading,
absolutely. You could actually just knead this one if you want to, and make this one more like plasticine. You can get quite vigorous with this one. Okay, not holding it for too long. You see, I'm not holding it for too long. We don't want to warm it up because what's going in this again?
Butter.
Butter, yeah. But we can be a little bit more vigorous then with that one. Okay, so we have now got ourselves a big ball of gluten, a gluten protein there inside that there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we need to add the other ingredient. So the other ingredient is
butter.
Butter. Okay, so we've got our block of fat here. There is our block of fat, and we need to put that inside that. Not working, is it? All right, we need to find a way of doing this one, and this is where we get the advanced bit. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Right, now we're going to need a little bit of greaseproof paper here, or if you haven't got a piece of greaseproof paper, that's fine. You can use your hands, or even use a bag. Can get a bit messy otherwise. We're going to get that butter, that block of butter, okay, and I'm going to put that into the middle. I'm going to move the camera down a little bit so you can see what we're doing. Okay, so we got that block of butter inside there. Okay, now we need a square, a very, very square, flat piece of fat. So you're going to need to squash it. Okay, now, well, who is that? Oh, yes. So the question there, what if you don't have a rolling pin? You can use your hands. Okay, you could use your hands. That's absolutely fine. Or you could use a rolling pin. There we go. Or you could just, you could literally just. Perfect. Now, say you haven't got that, just pour that into a bowl. If you haven't got that, and we've got somebody saying we haven't got a rolling pin, and if you don't want it to squeeze, you can't squeeze it by hand into a square. What you can use is you can use a glass bottle, but be careful with glass bottles. Obviously, you don't want it to break, but you could use a bottle. So we have got an old milk bottle. Here we go, a milk bottle. That, if you've got one of those at home, will do well. Some of the people have got glass lemonade bottles. Be careful when you're rolling it. It's glass, okay?
It's plastic.
You could use Millie's right. You could use a really hard plastic bottle. You could use a milk bottle. You could use a rolling pin. What we're doing is we're trying to create, and I'm going to use the milk bottle here. Use stuff that you've got at home to create a square of that. Okay, so we have now got. What's that, Millie? What's that?
Square.
Squarish. Okay, do you want to square it and make it a bit more squarey? There we go. Millie's going to make it a little bit more squarey, but we have got a piece of square. Now you can do this on cling film. You can do this on, if you've got plastic freezer bags, you can do it in that to square it off. You could just use your hands. You can just use your hands, but what we want to do is we don't really want that butter to be melting a lot, okay, at this stage. So you could use your hands. Absolutely fine, you can use your hands, that's absolutely fine. But what we've got going on here is we have got ourselves a nice square block of butter. Let's hold it up to the camera there. If you can quite see that one, maybe not. There is a square block of flour. Maybe if we switch the light down a little bit, yeah, let's have a look. Is that better? Not. Oh, yes, I think you can just about see it. It's a block of butter. Maybe if I took it off the paper, it'd be easy to see. There we go, that's easy to see. Right, let's put the light back on there. Let's go. There we go. So you can see now a block of butter, square block of butter. Brilliant. Okay, now it's going to be easier to get inside here now. What we need to do with this, we're going to create like an envelope. And we're going to open up an envelope and make an envelope. So can you scatter some flour on the work surface, Millie? Okay, so this is the sort of thing we do in year 10. And I did this last week with my year 10s when we were making some tiny little Danish pastries with a beautiful creme patissiere filling, like a custard filling, and we put some fruit in the top, and then we shaped all these pastries, and this is exactly what we did with our year 10s. So if you're thinking about taking GCSE for next year, this is the sort of thing we would be doing. Okay, so let's put some, we've got flour on there, just hope you can all just about see that one on there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make it into a cross. Okay, which seems a little bit odd, but I'm going to pull it so it's got arms going like that way. There we are. Thank you, Millie. Arms going, just moving the light around so you can see a bit better. We're going to make it into so we've got 4 arms on there. All right. I will post this. It's a lot simpler if you have a look on the pictures that I've got on the recipe card, which for those of you who are on YouTube, it's in the bottom here. For those of you who are in the class at the moment, so there's the recipe that I emailed you on Friday. Okay. So there we have we got something with 4 arms. It forms like a cross like that. You can just about see that one. Okay, now we need to make that flat, so we're going to use the rolling pin or a milk bottle or any other kind of bottle you could use would be fine. The reason I say milk bottle is just because it's glass. It actually doesn't stick very well, so it's like a rolling pin. It doesn't actually, the flour doesn't stick to it, and the gluey pastry doesn't stick to it very well. So that's a good alternative if you haven't got a rolling pin, or you can just use your hands if you want to, and we can squash and squeeze it into a square with our hands if you wanted to. Cross. Yeah. Sorry, did I say that? We're going to move it. I made a square. I mean, we're going to squash and squeeze it into a cross with my hands. I'm just using my hands now, so you don't need a rolling pin, but with a rolling pin, we're going to have a go. You're going to roll it that way and then roll it the other way. There we are. Oh, a bit more flour on there so it doesn't stick. There we go. Perfect. Roll, and on your rolling pin as well. Well done, Millie. Yeah. There we go. So there we go. Now, why are we doing this? We're going to create this envelope. Now, the envelope's going to have 4 arms, if you can imagine it. So it's 2 like that, and then 2, and then down there. So we got like a cross, okay, like more of a Celtic cross than a crucifix, because they need to be equal amounts. There we go. We'll get some religion in there as well. Brilliant. So we did food, science, and maths. We got some religion in there as well. So we have now got ourselves an opened up envelope, if you will. So with 4 different arms to it. I'm just going to extend that a bit further so we can get them out there as well. There we go. So if you can have a look at this one, I'm going to move the camera right above here. So hopefully you can just about see that one. But we got 4 arms. Do you want to point to the 4 arms? 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. I'll just move that one over there so you can see that one a bit Better. Okay, so we've got that one, the 4 arms on there. And then the next thing we need to do is we're going to put our butter into the middle of our envelope. Okay, so the butter is in the middle of the envelope. Then we are going to move over the 4 arms. We'll start with the first one, and we'll stretch that first part of the envelope over. Okay, do you want to do the next one? Oh, it's one, yeah. The next one over, and to all 4, and do a nice little parcel. Give it a little pat on the top. There we go. All right. So we have now created. You see me? Oh, there we go. We created ourselves a nice little parcel. All wrapped up in there is our butter. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky with the rolling and folding and folding and rolling. We've got there something that is gluten. It's got loads of gluten in there. A gluten envelope with our fat inside it. And what we need to do is we need to create all the different layers. We need to turn one layer into around about 100 layers. Okay, so we're going to try and make 100 layers of lamination. That's 100 layers of the fat. So how are we going to do this? Let's have a look. What we're going to do is we're going to roll this, and again you can use your rolling pin if you want to, or your bottle, all the way around, rolling pin or bottle, and we are going to roll it out into a rectangle. I'm going to use the bottle again, milk bottle. I'm going to roll it into a rectangle. Can you see what I'm doing there, everybody? Can you all see that? There we go. I'm rolling it into a rectangle. Now, if you can see, I've got a rectangle there now. But if you get any butter or fat coming around the outsides, get a little bit of your flour and just sprinkle it down the sides, push it wherever you see any fat escaping, push it. Now, if it's the first time you've done this, you're probably going to find fat escaping all over the place. Don't worry, just keep tapping it around the outside with the flour and that will keep it together. Now, the next bit, once you've got your rectangle, we need to do the tricky bit. It is then the next 2 things that are going to make the lamination, the layers. We are going to do tops up, bottoms down. Let me just repeat that again. We're going to do tops up. The bottom third is going to come up. The top third is going to come down over the top of it. I'll show you that one more time, okay? So we're going to take the bottom third up, the top third down and over the top of it, okay? And that's our fold. Then we're going to turn it 90 degrees. Okay, let me just go that and just make sure everyone's happy with that. So I've got my rectangle, bottom third up, top third down, turn it 90 degrees, turn it on the angle. All right, we're then going to repeat that process. We need to flatten out and repeat it. So to flatten it, we need to do something. We need to seal both the top of that rectangle and the bottom of that rectangle just by pressing into it. Okay, that will stop any butter kind of seeping out, hopefully. And then I'm going to roll it back into that rectangle. Okay, don't worry if it starts to come apart when you do that. Don't worry if bits of butter come out, because bits of butter come out. What do we do, Lily?
Put flour on it.
Put flour. We haven't got any butter coming out at the moment, no, have we? We're okay for the moment. Just keep checking it to make sure no butter is escaping. Now, once you've got yourself your nice rectangle again, what are we going to do, Millie? Tell the camera.
Top.
So bottom third up, yep.
Yeah.
Top third
Down.
Perfect. Give it a bit of squash. Then what are we going to do? Turn it 90. That's it. Turn it 90 degrees. She's going to use the rolling pin. Okay. Roll it. Gently roll it out.
And we do it again.
And then we do it again. Third up. Third down. Okay. Press through it. Squash right down. There we go. Turn it 90 degrees. Oh, is it sticking a bit on the bottom? Just push a little bit of flour underneath so it doesn't. Okay, now before we roll it, what do we need to do? Can you remember? Stop any butter escaping before we roll it. Yeah, and we can also squash the top, squash the bottom before you roll it again. Okay, so roll it again. So this is our rough puff pastry. Sorry, this is our puff pastry. This is, I've said rough puff pastry. This is puff pastry. keep saying rough puff pastry. Rough puff pastry would be a similar sort of thing. We'd add blocks of butter into it, and then we do this similar sort of thing. With this one, we're actually making a puff pastry. Sorry, there we go. All right, seal it, seal it. Yeah, somebody just said, isn't that rough? There, you're right, it's puff pastry. This one, not a rough puff. We'd use little blocks of square. Instead of using the big square block of butter, we would have used, put the little squares in with it, which is actually a puff pastry. And we keep doing that. Right, Millie, how many times have we done that one so far? 4 times? 4
or 5.
4 or 5, okay. Now, each time we're doing that, how many layers of butter are going in there? You're folding it 1, you've got 1, then you're folding 1, then you're folding another 1. So how many layers?
10.
3. So you got 3. So you've got 1 layer, 2 layer, 3rd layer. So it's 3 layers. Okay. And you've done it 5 times. If you say you have done it 5 times. 5 times with 3 layers. So how many layers? We've got 15 layers. Perfect. Maths again. Here we go. We're going more maths. We've got 15 layers. How many layers do we want? About 100. Okay. All right. So let's carry on. Each time we're doing this one, we're rolling it out into a rectangle. We go, roll it out into a rectangle, nice big. Now you've seen what happens there. I rolled it too hard. I rolled it too hard on purpose. We rolled it too hard, and what's happened is, oh dear, what's going on there, Millie?
It's gone all sticky.
It's gone all sticky. Some of that butter is escaping. So what do we need to do?
Put flour on it.
Perfect. Put a little bit of flour on it. Oh no, it's sticking a little bit on the bottom. What do we need to do, Millie?
Put flour on it.
Perfect. There we go. All right, now you can carry on. You carry on. So what's the next bit? Bottoms up by a 1/3. Tops down by a 1/3.
Yeah.
Give it a squash. Oh, that's it. Turn it 90 degrees. Seal it. Seal it. Okay, and then roll it again into a rectangle. Don't forget, if butter starts to seep out either end or anywhere, you can do this. Again, somebody's just saying, what's the difference between rough puff and puff then? So the one we're making at the moment, I'm sorry, I'm confusing things. The one we're making at the moment is a puff pastry. Okay, so that means that we've kept the block of butter in one big piece before we started folding it. If you'd cut the butter up into like large cubes before we did this, and then just mixed it with that gluten dough, that would have been your rough puff. But we thought we'd just have a go. We just gone ahead. We just gone ahead and done the most advanced pastry you can here. We just gone with a puff pastry. That's good. Okay, we're rolling that one up. Now, if we did this with a short crust pastry, that wouldn't be enough gluten to be able to hold all this and stretch through all of these different folds and stretch through all of these different squeezes that we're doing with the rolling pins. It just wouldn't stand it. It just wouldn't be able to. So we need that gluten in this one, whereas the previous one we didn't need that gluten development. With this one, you did need the gluten formation happening. So we've got gluten formation happening in there to form our laminated pastry, which is a pastry that is formed of different layers. Okay. Oh, good. You're pressing it too hard, which means what's coming out?
Butter.
That's it. So what do we need?
Flour.
Yep, flour on both sides. It's just starting to seep out there. Let's flip it over. There we go. Flip it over again. Perfect. She's doing brilliantly at this one. How many layers is that? Doesn't matter. Let's seven layers. Okay, let's keep going. If we're wrong, just message us here. We're on 7 layers, we think. You might be keeping a count, I've missed. Any of you girls keeping a count? Are we on 7 at the moment? How many layers are we on? Someone give me a clue. There we go. There we go. All right, you carry on. You carry on. I'm just going to talk to the camera for a minute while you carry on doing that. All right. So what's happening here? While she carries on doing this, she's going to be laminating all of the pastry in there. So each time she folds it, and we got one folding it over another, we are creating those layers. We're trapping in air, obviously. We're trapping in the fat, and we're forming those individual layers. Now, right at the very beginning, we were talking about what's happening with, could we use margarine instead of butter? Could we, because someone said, can we use oil instead of fat? Now, we said right at the very beginning, the difference between fats, if they are in a liquid state or a solid state at room temperature, that means down to their melting points at room temperature, is what we call plasticity. That's the state, because of the states they're in, because of the melting points. Some things have a higher melting point, some things have a lower melting point. And if you wanted to demonstrate that, a really easy way to do that, one, while we're away at home, if you've got some, and I'm thinking with Easter coming up, okay, if you put a little bit of chocolate in your mouth a bit of white chocolate, and obviously sweet, highly sweeted objects and highly fat objects in food should be had in moderation and only as part of a treat. You should reduce the amount of high sugar, high fat foods. But for the sake of food science, put a little bit of white chocolate in your mouth. Okay, suck on that little bit of white chocolate, so don't chew it, and see how long it takes for it to disappear. Then try it with milk, and then try it with dark chocolate. Perfect. Now, if your parents are at home saying, "What are you eating all this chocolate for?" You can tell them it's food science. Okay, it's purely food science here. What's going on here? You'll notice if you start timing this, use phones or whatever you use as a timer, kitchen timer, you'll notice that they will start to melt at different rates. Okay, and you'll find this because they have different melting points, whether it's a white chocolate or a milk chocolate or a dark chocolate. For the sake of chocolate, it's down to the consistency, the makeup of it. Some have got more cocoa butter in than others, cocoa content in it that's going to affect it. But they're all chocolate, but they have different melting points in your mouth. Okay, so they are going to melt faster in your mouth. Now, think of fats a little bit like that. It's an analogy, it's a metaphor for fats. If you think of fats like that, fats have different melting points. They melt at different rates. And that's why you have an oil, which is a liquid, and you have a margarine that's kind of a little bit more, a little bit less of a liquid, less solid, and your butter, which is quite solid. You get lard, which is very solid, pure fat, animal fat going on there with like a pure fat, and each of these has got different states because of plasticity. Now, when it comes to these, some of the reasons that fats have different amounts is because it can be also down to water content as well. Can affect these ones. So you'll find things like a margarine has got a far higher water content than. Oh, you did a brilliant job there. Wonderful. She's doing the pastry's really coming together. I'll show you in a minute. So you can use margarine, you can use these different fats, but you're going to have a different effect on the pastry. The oil is not going to properly coat all of, if you're doing a shortcrust pastry, it's not going to properly coat all of those little bits of flour. You've actually do too much of it. And what you're going to end up with is it's going to be very hard to ever try and make a shortcrust pastry with oil in it. However, you can use different fats for different things with pastry. So have a look at what fats you've got and see how they work with it. Some things will help with the gluten making, some things won't help the gluten making. Don't get some pastries need gluten, such as this one. This needs gluten. We've got a lot of effort going on in here. Minnie's putting a lot of effort into stretching this one. Some pastries don't have gluten or shouldn't have reduced the gluten to the lowest amount. Right. I'm talking too much, and you're doing a brilliant job there. We cram as much science into this as well. We like science. We like science a lot. Food and science come together really well. And the new GCSE is all has a huge section just on food science, and that way you can know how to put your foods together, create new foods, and it's really exciting. I love a little bit of food science there, does me. Okay, we're doing really well there. Okay, so we've got our pastry. How many times have we done that now? 17 times. So 17 times 5? So 17 times 3. Got me doing it.
Wait. 51. We
are in the 50s. Okay. Right. So that's good. We got there. So right. Where are we up to? Should we carry on for another couple? Let's carry on for a couple. What you're going to show the camera, the pastry now. Now you've got something where the butter isn't coming through at all, and it's looking more like a sort of shop bought pastry you might find for a puff or a rough puff pastry here, which is lovely. It's going to be all those laminated layers. And what's going to happen when we get that in the oven? Obviously, the layers are going to expand and push apart the other layers, and as it begins to expand, it will puff up, and so we've got this puffed laminated pastry. They'll be able to expand apart. There is obviously water and fat in there, which is going to be expanding, and the air is going to be expanding. We're going to be ending up puffing it up, basically. All those layers are going to puff up. If you think of a perfect puff pastry, things such as a croissant, crisp and crumbly, puffed up with all those hundreds of layers you've got inside. You can have them sweet or savoury, so think of something like a millefeuille. A millefeuille, 1,000 layers, and that's got lots of little layers on there. We'll sandwich that with some creme pâte, tissière, which is like I say, cold custard pipes in there with some sliced up fruits in there. You've got lovely layers going on there. So we're looking at layers, and we're looking at pastry, and we're looking at gluten formation and the effects of flour. Are we all doing? I'm just going to have a look down here. Oh, 51. Thank you. Someone is watching us. They say 51 layers, Millie, we got so far here. So we got, I'm just going to have a look at a quick check on all the comments down here as we go now. Thank you for that one. Oh, someone's got 50. They've got more layers. So they're saying, well, how many layers have I got? Right, we got lots of different layers going on there. Let's scroll to the bottom here. Brilliant, thank you. We're going to updates as we go on this one about making our pastry making. Are you happy with that one? So let's talk about fillings then, because we're going to be coming up to fillings. Traditionally, you think about a pasty filling, we'd be looking at something with steak and swedes and potatoes in there, but we've got to think of our lockdown larders. What have we got available? So what we're going to be doing for us? Well, I'm trying to think of things that you might have in there. So if you haven't got potatoes, you can use some, we've also got some new potatoes there, tin new potatoes. Nice easy one there, so you've still got your potatoes in there. We're going to use some of those. We can probably use about 6 of those per large pasty. We're going to use a little bit of cheese in there, hence why you needed a cheese grater. And we're going to use cheese, onion, and a bit of garlic. And then what we're going to do is put a little bit of curry powder in, or a little bit of veggie stock in there, just to spice them up. You can make meat ones, obviously you can do chicken ones go, and traditionally be both sweet and savoury. So think of a traditional pasty from the southwest. We're thinking about a Cornish pasty. Originally, you'd have a bit on one end that would be the sweet, and then another bit on the other end, which would be savoury. So you got your main meal and you got your pudding all in one pasty. So these are very forgiving and a great way to be using up foods that you've got in your cupboard. Any fresh foods that have got potatoes that are starting that you're thinking, oh, I need to use these up. I've got some onions. You can use up all sorts of things, peppers, anything that you might have left, or things that you want to use up at the end of a food, you can put in there. I've had people make them with bolognese inside them. It's a great way of using up your store cupboard pieces that you've got to make yourself a new meal out of them. We're going to be looking at some other meals coming up, like curries as well, which curries is a great way of using up, so love your food and hate waste. Let's think about that one, especially at the moment. Let's think we don't want to be wasting our food. There's a great opportunity to using up those. So I've given those people who on Friday, I'll give you some ideas on different fillings that you could have gone with. So it'll be interesting to see what other people, what fillings have we got out there? What people are, do you want to post, just to tap down the side here, what sort of fillings you've gone with on the side here? I say we're going to do a cheese and onion, and we're going to do a cheese and onion and a potato one. Potato's good because it fills it out. So if you want to put them in there, potato or sweet potato, or it's good. We've got some butternut squash, which would be great to fill it out with. Then to season with a little bit of stock, it's always good to season it with all spices. To season it with, if you're doing sage and onion, sage would go perfectly with your cheese and onion. Would be lovely, lovely one there. But so we're adding some potatoes in there. We're going to put a bit of curry powder, mild curry powder, just to spice it up a little bit. So what are other people doing? If you want to type down what you've got for your fillings, what you're planning to put in your fillings. Anyone, any ideas there? Are you going to go with a traditional steak and potato, or are you going to go with a chicken, or are you going to go with a veggie one? A bit of frozen veg is a great way as well. To put some frozen veg in this one, beautiful with it. Then we're going to come to how you shape it. Now, there's lots of different ways on how you can shape it. How are we doing at the moment? How many layers? How many times
28 times.
28 times. So 28 times 3. So you're going to do up to 30 and get your 100. Okay.
No, 30 will be 90.
Yeah. So you want to get 34.
Yeah.
34 will be okay then. Right. While Millie is finishing off that one, I'm just going to go back to our PowerPoint. There we go. So I'm just going to show you some ideas on the pastry itself. So if we scroll down. We've done the rolling, folding and turning, which is what we're doing at the moment, rolling it out, folding it and turning it. Then we can have a look at the pastry. We've got some amazing looking things going on here with pastry you can look at. So these are different pastry fillings. Some are pasties, some are not pasties. We're going to be showing you the crimping, which is on the side, which seals it. But what could you do on the top of it? What could you do to make them look amazing? There's lattice works on there. There's some lovely cutout ones. You could do your name on the side. You can see in the middle there, someone's gone with a name in the middle. Bottom right, you've got there, somebody's made a whole globe out of 2 pasties. So it's 2 giant pasties together, made it into a globe. So you can do a lot of amazing things with pastries. And when you've made yours, I need you to post your pictures. We really do. Whether you're watching this live now as from school, you girls, I want to see pictures of all your work. That will be my knowledge that you have done your learning. If you haven't, you're not making it, don't worry, there are the worksheets that go with this as well. But have a look at some of those amazing different things you can do with a pasty as far as decoration and making it look something different, make it individual, make it personalized. Okay, how are we doing, Millie?
34.
34. I'm going to come back to me now. Okay, here we go. Right, so for those people that are not, who are at home and not cooking today, that's fine. That's fine, brilliant. Then you're using from this book here. So you're using the exercises from this book and the worksheets, Exploring Food and Nutrition, which for my students is in the file section, file section above in your teams. You'll find that book and you'll find the pages into there about looking at what we're doing here today as part of our rotation, and we'll look at flour and where that comes from and bits and pieces in there. So your pages are on there. Brilliant book. So that's Exploring Food and Nutrition, Key Stage 3. So you'll find that one in there if you are not cooking. Right, and that's also the PowerPoint slides that we've been looking at. This is the basis of that package. Right, okay. So back to the class. We've done a pastry minute. Hurrah! There is a beautiful, smooth, laminated pastry with 100 layers inside it. Okay, 105 layers inside it. Okay, thank you, Millie. It's got 105 layers inside that pastry. Wow, it's loads of lamination in there. Loads and loads of lamination in there. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to just leave that to rest for a minute. Chill that one down. Let's bring the other one out. Here we go. It is. There we go. So we're going to swap now. We're going to put one back into the fridge, keep that butter cool. Sorry. Oh, just for about 10 minutes. That'll be fine. Good point, Emily. Well done. While she is doing that, I'm also going to ask that she preheats the oven. Okay, so we're going to preheat our oven. The oven needs to be preheated to about 190 degrees. Okay, so gas mark. What are we on there? Gas mark. 5. So 190 degrees, gas mark 5, preheat your ovens. You're also going to need to make sure you've got a tray with some greaseproof paper on there, which we'll come to in a moment. So we have got the shortcrust pastry out here. So this is going to create a really crumbly, falling apart pastry, sort of pastry for pasty that's going to literally fall apart. You need a knife and fork for. Whereas the other one, big tough one, it's got loads of gluten in it. It's a tough pastry. We can quickly hold that one and bite it, hold onto the pasty edge and bite that one, which originally is what the Cornish pasties would go down into the mines in the southwest here, holding onto that. We are going to talk to you about the difference between a Devon pasty though and a Cornish pasty, and I'm not going to say one is better than the other. We come from Devon. We are in Devon, but you know, Cornish or Devon, I'm not going to start a feud here. We'll show you how to make both the Cornish and the Devon one from down here in the southwest to you around the rest of the world. And when I'm obviously saying doing this live to my class here, but this video is also going out to all over the world. We have classes, so if you're watching this on YouTube, hello to Africa. I hear we have this video is going out all the way out to now. Where is Mr. Hubbard at the moment? Malawi. So there are students watching this in Malawi. Great to see you. Hello to Malawi from the southwest. Okay, but obviously if you're in Torquay Girls Grammar School, which is where I'm teaching to right this very moment, let's carry on. Let's carry on now. We're going to try and make Devon one. We can show you how to make a Cornish one as well. Right, pastry is here. We need to roll this pastry out now. So we're going to put some Millie to put some flour on the work surface. Brilliant. Some flour on the rolling pin. Millie, I need you to roll this out for me now. Okay, so she's just going to roll this one out. And as we were going to roll this out, we're going to make our pasties. Now I said if you wanted to, you can make your pasty. Oh, I'm just having a look at the notes there. So it's all right. I'll hold on to the camera there. She's vigorously rolling this one. I want to make sure that there we go. She's vigorously rolling. It should be rolled. Yeah, good question down there. It should be rolled to about a £1 coin. Okay, so we're not looking at a very thin pastry. Yeah, we can probably get a little bit thinner on our other one because it's so thick, but this is a crispy, crumbly one, so we don't want to make it too. Now, here's the chance to start being creative here. So we've got a few different options for you, haven't we, Millie? So what could we cut around to make our pasty? It needs to be a round. We're making a round circle, so we can use lots of different things. So if you haven't got pastry cutters, what we got, Millie?
Cutters.
So yeah, or what else can we cut around? All sorts of things. Yeah, no things. Over there, those two things there piled up onto each other. There we go. Yeah. Bowls. Yeah, good idea. Bowls. You could use a sauce. You can use anything. Okay, we're gonna make anything. What are we gonna? How big are our pasties? Are we gonna make little ones or are we gonna make big ones? So we got two circular things there. What are we gonna make?
That one.
We're gonna make cute little ones. Okay. So Millie is gonna make cute little ones. Now, the great thing with short crust pastry is you can roll up the excess pastry and then make more. You can't do that one with a rough puff or a puff pastry because you've got all the different layers. You roll those up, you're just rolling up all those different individual layers. So you can't do it. But with this first one, yes, go for it. You can get extra out. So Millie is now cutting out her circles. Brilliant. Okay, well done. There's one, perfect. Excellent. 2. Yeah. 2. Okay, and then she can roll this one up together and make another one because it's a short crust pastry. So you've got these tiny little bits of batter dispersed all the way around the flour, and the pastry is fine on this one. So we can roll this one out again and make the third. Don't do this with your rough puff or puff pastry later on. Okay, ready to do another one?
Yeah.
Perfect. She's going to do a final one out of the short crust. If you're doing this a plate, just cut around a plate will be fine. If you want to, so to make a traditional size pasty, you'd probably be looking at a plate that sort of size, okay, and cut around that. We're making some cute little ones. Okay, happy? Yeah. All right. So now we need to mix up our mix. Okay. So with the bowl, you're going to need to grate some cheese. You've got a cheese grater. Okay, Millie, that's a little bit small. Yeah. You need a slightly larger cheese grater. Yeah. That's a teeny tiny small cheese grater. We need a much bigger one. This is the sort of thing we use on a nutmeg. Right, we're going to that's the cheese grater. Okay, so you're going to grate some cheese. Cheese is in there. I'm going to get that. Can you put me a can opener? Is that all right? And we're just going to get a can opener. We put our potatoes in there, and we're going to start on our filling. Okay. Right, here we go. So how are we doing lesson time? We're not doing too. We've gone over an hour. We've done an hour. It's a double lesson this one for those at home. So we've got plenty of time, I'm just doing the potatoes, you're doing the cheese. And in with this one for ourselves, we're also going to be putting in there some onion. I'm going to very quickly remind you, year 9s, how to slice an onion. If you can't remember, we'll do a little, we do the witch's hat. Yeah. We'll do the witch's hat way of doing this one. So it doesn't look like a witch. It doesn't look like a witch, but it could look like a witch, so okay. All right, we've got the cheese going there, Millie? Yeah. Okay, fabulous. We need some potatoes in there, Millie. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Oh, switch the timer off on that one. All right, potatoes. Potatoes pre-cooked. Squash them in there. Squash them. That's it. Perfect. There we go. And some more potato. There we go. Move the camera down. Thank you, Millie. There we go. Let's crush those potatoes. Crush a potato. Oh, it's really slippery. It is. Crush it all up. It is gross, but it's quite fun as well. Tiny. There we are. We're just making our filling for our pasties in case you just joined us back in. We are crushing up our potatoes. There we go. Crush up the potato in there. Oh, lovely. Getting your hands all messy there. Wonderful. There we go. Crush that all up. There we go. How many potatoes is that? I don't know. Oh, you're not counting. I thought you were. How many potatoes is that? 6. Someone's saying 6. Okay, there we go. There we go. 7. Crush it. There we go. All right, so we've got some potatoes. We've got cheese, potato. Let's put. There we are. Perfect. Go and wash your hands. Go and wash your hands and wipe those down. In with that, we're going to be putting a little bit of onion and garlic in there. So let me just very quickly show you how to do that one. Because most of the recipes required an onion or garlic in them, and it's always a good base part to any good sauce. All right, do you want to put that on the side for a minute?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get an onion. We can do this one together, Minnie. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, sorry, knife.
Garlic.
Oh, another one, garlic as well. Yeah, we've got garlic as well. So we're going to use onion and garlic. If you are using frozen veg, frozen onion and frozen garlic are a great way to get those into the diet, and also a cheap alternative and a quicker alternative if you want to. That's great. Frozen veg contains as many vitamins and minerals as you would do fresh. It's a big misconception that frozen don't. They do. So yeah, that is a good way of doing it. We've got some chef knives. Perfect. One for me, one for you. Thank you. We're going to show you how to chop these up really quickly. We'll start with the onions. Should we do the onion first?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do the onions first. So we're just going to quickly show you on the board how to do onions. Millie, do you want to just move aside and I'll grab the pen? Okay. Onions. If you're at home and you want to cut an onion, you don't want to cry. Forget everything else anyone's told you before. This is how you do it. All right. What you've got to do is you've got to imagine that an onion is a witch. Okay. So here we go. Here is our witch. She's got a witch's hat on, as you can see. There we go. There is our witch's hat on the top. This is our witch. Let's just make her more witchy. There we go. There we go. There we go. And she has got some smelly old feet. There we can see some smelly feet. There we go. You can see her smelly feet. Now, this is our witch here. Here's her pointed hat. Here is her smelly feet on the bottom. You can just about see her smelly feet on the bottom there, and she is our witch there. Now we need to.
Hairy feet as well.
You've got hairy feet as well. Show the camera. Show the camera your hairy feet. Not your hairy feet. No, your onion's hairy feet. There we go. So we've got Millie's one there, and we've got mine as well. So we're now going to show you how to chop an onion without crying, using the analogy of our witch up here. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is if you've got your onion and your knife, you're ready, we are going to show you what to do. We've got to try and stay away from the feet. Okay, this is a bit, the bottom end of the onion is going to make you cry at this bottom bit here. So we don't want to go near that as much as possible. We're going to try and keep that end sealed away. Okay, but we do need to cut into her. So the first thing we're going to do is going to hold her around her belly. Oh, we're doing two different cuts here. We're doing this one, which is our bridge. Millie, you can show her on the bridge. Perfect. And your knife goes through the bridge like that. Millie, show everyone what it goes. It goes through. Okay, it's not going to cut your fingers because we're going to make a bridge. The second one we're going to do is a claw. Thumb right back. Thumb right back. Fingers over the top. And that is a claw. And you rest the blunt side of your knife against your hand when you're cutting as a claw. All right, we always start with the bridge and then we're going to go into the claw. So let's, thank you, Millie. Perfect. So let's do this one first of all. We're going to hold around by her tummy. And then as we hold around by her tummy, we are going to go straight through the middle of her. Now this is the hardest cut of the lot. You might need to do like a sawing action first, but we're going to go cut straight from the middle and down to the bottom. Okay, holding around the tummy, and then we're going to put that flat on the work surface. You want me to give you a hand? She's done it. Perfect. Flat on the work surface. There we go. So we're now flat two halves on the work surface. You can see Millie's two halves there, and you can see my two halves here. All right. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to normally a witch, you know, you should just put a knife that should be dead. But no, this is a witch. She's got a magic hat on. So we need to get rid of the magic hat. So using the knife, we're then going to use a claw. So claw, that's it, Millie. Well done. Thumbs right back, fingers over top. And we're going to slice the hat off. There we go. Slice that hat off. That's it. Perfect. Get rid of those bits, Millie. Right, once we slice that, we can put our knives down. Okay, can you help? We're going to be then pulling back the skin of our onion back towards the feet, but we don't need to pull it all the way off. So you can see what I'm doing there. I've left it on. We're not going to pull it all the way off her feet. Oh, yeah. If it comes off already, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So if you're doing this at home with me, that's fine. We're just going to pull back all of that. I'll do it on the other half now as well. Let's pull it all back.
Fiddly.
This is fiddly, isn't it? There we go. Here's my two done.
You do that.
I can do that one, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do this one. So trying to keep it flat on the board so none of that horrible gases are released that are going to form something that's going to irritate our eyes. Perfect. Now we've got all 4 there, and we pulled it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to our wedge. What we've done here is you can see we have cut her all the way down the middle. Okay, that's number 1, and that's what we do using our bridge. Bridge. Then we're going to do number 2, and that was with our claw. Okay, bridge and claw. All right, now you'll then be ended up with, if I can just, I'll just show you over here. You should end up now with something that looks a little bit like that, with all the skin down there and her smelly feet underneath. And that is where we're up now. Now, when you pull back all this papery skin, you will see there are some lines running down like that. And that is our next cutting line. So if you have a look, I'll put to the camera there. If I show you on the camera there, Millie, do you want to just put that spot, move that spot of light along a little bit?
What's right?
There we go. That's it. Yep, switch that one. There we go. You just might be able to see if I switch that. Now you should be able to see that running down here are all the lines. Okay. And that's our next cutting line. Okay, switch that way. Right, so what we've got here is we are going to use a bridge again. So we start with a bridge and then go into a claw. So we're going to go down as many of those using a bridge. You go down as many of those lines as possible. Don't worry if you don't go down them all. I'm just using a bridge to go down as many. Now I'm not going to go right to where her feet are. Why am I not going to go right to the end?
Because it makes you cry.
It'll make you cry, absolutely, Millie. So we're going to go down about 3/4 of the way. Well done. And we're going to go 3/4 of the way down. I'm just going to cut down. I'm going to do the same with the other one. I'm going to cut down about 3/4 of the way down. Not all the way to the feet, because that'll make me cry. Do you mind if I go at the other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good cutting skills. Brilliant. All okay?
Yeah.
So we've got our onions all lined up there. So we've gone down there. And then we need to go with our claw. We're going to go across the other way. So let me show you on the picture first. So just behind me here, you can see we've gone down these lines down to about this level. We haven't gone all the way down. Now the next, and that was with the bridge. So we do number 3. Bridge. And that's cutting down this way. And then we're going to cut the other way. Not to the right, to the very bottom. And that's going to be our 4th, which is the claw. Okay. So we're now going to cut the other way. So with our claw, we're going to cut the other way. So that's like a noughts and crosses, if you will. And what will happen is, let's do these ones. So I'm cutting the other way, but not all the way to the bottom. Why am I not going to the bottom, Millie?
Because it'll make you cry.
It'll make you cry. You don't want you to cry. We'll get rid of these ends, and we'll do the same. Now, Millie's going to go and put these ends that will make you cry into the compost. Now, you can put them in a compost bin, or if you put these in some water, you can grow some more. I'll send you a link for this one about growing vegetables from vegetables. But we'll go and put those ones in the wash bin. Sorry, the wash bin? In the compost bin. So we can get some more veggies out of this one. We don't want to waste food. So we can create more food from this one. One more, Millie? Ah, because she's just got the ends. Go and wash your hands again. Okay. We've got way more onion than we need here. So don't worry about that. Way more onion than you're going to need. We're going to mix our chopped up onion. Now, Millie, yeah. Why she's just over there? She's just coming back. Those chopped up bits of onion, yeah. They form a 6-sided cuboid. okay, which you might find dice on. Those 6-sided cuboids are called, if you were throwing it for a game, dice. I just gave it away there. But dice. So this is a dice cut. Okay, so we've done all that behind us. 1, 2, then 3, and then 4, and we have created our dice cut. Now we're going to use some of that onion. Is going to go in with our mix. Where's our mix gone, Millie? Where's our cheesy potatoey mix with onions in? There we are. You want to put a handful of that in there, and the rest we can save and put into a stew or into a lasagna later. All right. So we have got onion, cheese. Oh, what else do you want? Potato. There's something else we're going to put in that one. Onion. Oh no. Garlic. Garlic. Good idea. Let's put some garlic in there. Let me just get rid of some of this onion and take this one away. And we can save the rest of that for later. You can freeze this as well. So put this in a bag, freeze it. Think about, say, our food at the moment. Think about lockdown larders. You want to try and save as much food as you can. So put that one over there. Yeah. Garlic. Garlic is the same family as the onion. So it's got a skin around it, which we need to get rid of. And we need to bridge and claw it. It's teeny tiny small, garlic cloves. So first thing is, hand on the top and give it a good hit, squash. It cracks. Perfect. Got a clove? I've got a clove. You got a clove? I got 2. You got 2. Right, should be about 12 so cloves per bit of garlic. Let's get that one away. All right, let's clean down our service. We've got a piece of garlic. So the next thing we need to do, let's get that cleared down. Clear down, clear down, clear down, clear down. Well done, Minnie. Next thing we're going to do with our garlic is we're going to top and tail our garlic. Okay, so very simply, we're going to start with a, that's it with the claw. We're going to top it and we're going to tail it. Now, when you do that, you should be able to peel off all the paper. Oh, before we cut it, Millie, one final thing we're going to do is before we cut it, we're just waiting some more of the end off. Okay, that's fine. We're going to just release some of those oils that are in there. So using the blunt side of your knife, we're going to lean on it and squash it. If you don't feel confident doing this, use a fork to squash it. There we go. Oh, look at you, you've properly squashed that. It's more squashed than mine. Then we'll start to chop it up. So using our little mini claw, we're just going to chop that up teeny tiny small. And turn it round and do it the other way. That's completely squashed. Yours is completely squashed and squished. Do you want to get it in the mix? Yeah. I'm going to save mine for later. But I think one garlic will be fine. Do you want one garlic or do you want more garlic in it? I don't know. I think that should put a little bit more. Put a little bit more if you want. There we go. We'll save the rest for later. Yeah. Okay. Finally, seasoning. Think about seasoning here. Don't want to be using salt. Pepper's fine. Do you want to put a bit of pepper in there? Yeah, put a bit of pepper in there. Salt's not good for our hearts, so try and stay where is salt to that one. If you need to get that salty umami flavour, you can add a little bit of stock, or why not add some spices? So if you want to put a bit of curry powder there, or do you want to stock it? A little bit of curry powder or stock? Big both. Okay. So we've got a little bit of just a mild curry powder in there. We're going to put in ours. Just a little pinch of that, and we got stock. Now we probably, for the amount that we got there, we probably need about a quarter of that stock. So do you want to just take off a quarter of that stock and crumble that in there? Yeah. And I'm going to take a little bit of the. What stock is it? That's a veggie stock. Good question, Millie. It's a veggie stock. Thank you. I'm going to put a little bit of veggie stock in there. I'm just going to put how much of it? Put a little bit of curry powder in there just to season that. How much stock? Just a quarter of that one. So just chop that into quarters and then just to crumble the rest in there. And then stir it all together. Well done. Oh, just give it a good stir. There we go. Spoon. Stir. Fabulous. Okay, so we have got the insides to our pasties, and we have got our pasty circles. All right. The next thing is we're going to put this all together. So if you just move the camera down there, you can probably just see there. We've got a mix, and we got that. Now, what we need to do before we put our mixes in there, we need to get our pastry brushes or our fingers. Our fingers will be absolutely fine. And we're going to put our fingers into some really cold water. Here we go. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Some cold water. We've got some cold water from earlier. Going to stick your fingers in. Okay, well, you can do some as well. And we're going to put it round the outside of our pasties. Okay, so we're just going to make a border around the outside of our pasties. There we go. Now, there's some people say just do one side because you wouldn't put glue on both sides to do it. That's fine. I can see where they're coming from that one. That would be good. But for the sake of this, we'll just put a little bit of water on the outside to glue them together. Now, you're going to spoon. Is that all mixed in properly? Cheese, potato, onion. I'm going to put a little bit more onion in there. Should we put a little bit more onion in there? No, you've got enough onion in there. Okay. Spoon your mixture in then into the centre. Okay. That should be enough. Yeah. Do you want to put a little bit? Okay, a bit more. Okay. So we spoon the mixture into the centre of this one. I don't know if you can quite see that one. I'm going to move that one. Let's move these two aside and put that one right in the middle. There we go. So we've moved those, we've put that mixture into there. Do you want to switch to the light? So we can just move the spotlight onto that one. So you might, oh no, it's worse. Let's switch to let's move that spotlight out. That's better. Okay. Oh yes, that's a good idea. Let's move those lights. Now, we are now going to squeeze that up together like a taco. Okay. And then squeeze all the way around the outside to make some mini pasties today for these short crust. There we go. And that's formed like a mini pasty. Then when it's on the work surface, we now have the crimping bit. So we're going to crimp and pinch. And what I'm doing is I'm pinching it between both my fingers and then squeezing those pinches together. So pinching together, pinch both sides and then squeeze on the angle. Pinch both sides and squeeze on the angle. Pinch both sides and squeeze on the angle, and you will end up with a beautifully crimped little pasty. Now, that is a that's a Devon pasty. A Cornish pasty is that, a Devon pasty is that. Okay, so just to make you clear, so we've got a Devon pasty and we've got a Cornish pasty. Oh dear, it's fallen over. Okay.
The difference is that the Devon one is upright. That's
right. The Devon one is upright. Okay, so we've got that one with the crimp going on the top because we're obviously in Devon, and the Cornish one is fallen over. All right. So it depends on how you want to do this one. These are our first little pasty all done. The final thing we need to do on a pasty is to give it a bit of a glaze. Now you can use this one. I said if you're not vegan and you're happy to do this one, you can use a little bit of egg or milk on this one into a jug and just give it a little spray. Now if you are and you can't use milk and you can't use egg, that's fine. So what you do, bake these, and a few minutes before the end, brush it with a little bit of water on the top. And you'll still get a bit of a glaze, not as much as you would do from the proteins that are going to glaze this one with egg or milk. So what have we got there? Some milk. Fabulous. Right, so again, if you haven't got a pastry brush, you can use your fingers, and we just put some milk on them like that. Do you want to go, Millie?
Yeah. Do
that outside. Give it a lovely, beautiful glaze in the oven, and we'll go and get these ones onto a baking sheet. Fabulous. Right, so Kimberly, I can do that one. You want to carry on with these ones?
Yeah.
Put the camera there. So show the girls at home how to do these ones. So she's just going to do those ones while I get the baking sheet ready in there. Now we're not going to use all this mix. So some of this mix we're going to put in our rough puff pastries, pasties. And we might make some big ones out of those ones for you. That's all right with everybody. Okay, we're nearly doing, and time-wise, we're doing very well there. We've nearly come up to the 2 hours there, which is going to give you your whole lesson for everybody. So you've got 10 minutes left. Okay. So pinch.
Yeah.
And then squish your pinches.
Okay.
That's it. Perfect. Another little pasty, and we'll glaze that one in a minute.
Put some
more water around that one. While Millie is doing that, I'm just going to go and grab the other pastries from the there. Just do a minute. There we go. You can talk them through what you're doing. I'm going to step over you, Millie. Now, are you talking through what you're doing?
Making pasty.
There we are, I'm back.
I didn't glaze them.
That's okay, we can do that one in a minute.
Cool.
Got 10 minutes left of the lesson. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
And milk.
And the milk is just there. And just glaze that one on both sides.
And then I need to place up.
That was that one in a minute. Right, put that one on the tray with the others. Excellent. All right, now we have got our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pastry. This is our laminated pastry. Remember, this is the one with the gluten in it. And with this one, we are going to be making pasties. Now remember, golden rule with this one, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot use the scraps up on this one. It's one of the reasons, another reason why it's one of the really expensive ones, okay? Because once you've used the edges, you can't reuse this because it's got all those hundreds of layers in there. Same as before, flour on both sides. You're going to roll it out into a thin pastry. Go for it, Millie. In it goes. And the other way as well. Perfect. And again, if you haven't got that, don't forget you can use a bottle if you want to, or to squeeze it out. You could even use your hands if you wanted to. It's been chilled in the fridge, so the butter won't melt. There we go. Got a nice thin pastry. Should we try and make a big pastry pasty out of this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
a bigger. One small, one big, and one bigger one. Yeah. Okay. So we can compare them. We're gonna try one that's exactly the same size as the other one, so we can look at what they look like, and I'll post a picture of what these look like at the end. So as close as you can to the edge, because you can't reuse this pastry. Remember, not like a shortcrust. You can't roll it up again. There we go. So we have our circle first, and this is our circle of our puff pastry there. It's going to bubble up and puff up beautifully in the oven. You can use a bowl if you want. If you're not going to, I don't know, if you fit a plate. See if we can fit a plate on there. We might need a bowl. Let's go and use it. Let's go and use a bowl then. Just going to get a bowl for this one. I'm going to cut round that one for our next pasty. There we go. Have you got your sharp knife still?
Just press down.
You could just press down, yeah, absolutely. You don't need a knife. Just pull that around, are you?
Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. Alrighty. Okay, and exactly the same as we did before now, but this one with our puff pastry. So we're going to put the remainder of our filling between the two of those. How many potatoes? I think about 6, 7 potatoes, wasn't there in there? And the onion. 7 potatoes, yeah. Onion, cheese in there. For those at home, we're looking at around about for each pasty, for a traditional size pasty, you're looking around about 60 grams there of. Well, you want to make 100 grams of your whole filling, so we're normally about something like 50, 60 grams of cheese in there, and then you make up the rest with the other 40, 50 grams with what you want to with your wonderful potato and onions, what we kind of got there. But we want to make about 100 grams worth of your filling in there. We can probably get more filling into that one if you want, Millie. You can spoon some more in. Now, while she finishes those ones off and then glazes them, I just wanted to very quickly go through what's going to be happening when these brown. And again, we're going to whack one last bit of, in the last 5 minutes, one last bit of food science in there going on for you. So the protein on the outside is going to form a glaze, which is great. But if you don't put, that's the egg or the milk, what's going to happen to the protein when protein cooks? It denatures and in goes the egg, coagulates, and no longer the liquid, but it becomes what we have, this lovely glaze, the solid glaze on the outside. But if you don't glaze it with the egg or milk, you can still get a quick shine on there, a bit like you would do on a bread. If you take that just before the end and brush it with some water, you can get a kind of a glaze on there. But that browning on the outside without that browning with flour, that browning with flour is called something we call dextrinization. And what that is we form we have sugars called dextrins, and that dextrinization is moving the starch that is in the flour. So flour's not only got protein in it, it's got starch in it, and that forms a beautiful. It breaks down into the simpler sugars, and that forms dextrins, and it's dextrinization going on there. So we've got dextrinization going on in if it's the flour browning, so just a flour pastry browning. But if you've got milk and you've got or milk or egg on there, then we're going to end up with a beautiful glaze formed on the proteins. Okay. So we've got a couple of things going on there. Now the beautiful smell when you've got proteins cooking and you've got sugars breaking down all together is something we call the Maillard reaction, which gives you beautiful smells and colours when meats with sugars and cooking off, so we've got proteins and sugars again breaking down. We're going to end up with some beautiful looking pasties. We're coming up to the last 5 minutes of your 2-hour lesson now, and I want you to show me your photographs. I want to see what your pasties from the southwest look like, whether you're making a Devon pasty or standing up, whether you're making a Cornish pasty, that one lying down. I want to see some beautiful crimps going on. I want to see some beautiful presentation of your piece. The final thing we need to do then is let's have a look here. Just for everybody at home, we need to, as part of what we're doing at the moment, let's have a look from current slide. There we go. We need to make sure that you are, and you're going to love me for this one, parents. There we go. We need to make sure you are washing up and cleaning up. OK, so please can we make sure you collect all your equipment that you've been using. Please can we make sure that you are making sure your area is clean and tidy. Wash everything up using the right method. Dry with a clean tea towel and put everything away once checked by the teacher. Well, it won't be checked by me today, but it'll be checked by whoever's at home with you. So please make sure you are washing up and cleaning up. And I don't want any of this cheating malarkey. I would like you actually to be washing up. I have some people saying yesterday, oh yeah, we washed up and dried up, and then they sent me photos, and their photos definitely showed a dishwasher in the background there. So washing, drying, cleaning up and putting away as you would do in school with me. That would be great. OK, so please make sure you are doing that one, and you are making sure you are cleaning up as you go along. All right, so make sure everything is cleaned up, washed up, dried up and put away. Although I can't be there, I will be expecting you to have done that. OK, everybody. OK, we're coming up to the last couple of minutes. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you from Millie. So thank you. And thank you from me. We've got some more of these being done, and we're going to post these up onto YouTube so you can watch them again as well. We're going to post these onto ones onto Teams for everybody at Talkie Girls Grammar School as well, so you've got those ones. Any more questions from the class? We got what of you? Is that 19 of you there? Any of you got any more questions before we leave you in the last couple of minutes? No, everybody's OK. It looks like everybody is. If you have any more questions after class, please feel free. I'll be online for the rest of the morning, so just feel free to message me anything you want to. If you aren't cooking, you've just been watching along, or you're not able to cook today, don't forget to go to the book that you'll find in Files section, Exploring Food and Nutrition from Hodder, and you should be doing the worksheets on that. OK, everybody else who's watching us across the globe, stay safe, take care, stay safe, enjoy the cooking. This is a great opportunity to do some cooking with your family and get some using up the foods that you've got in the store cupboard, and being inventful and being a bit more imaginative and looking at how we can do some more skills with your cooking. So like I say, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon, and we'll post some more of these recipes online for you and on YouTube and through the school website as well, so through the school teams. Thank you very much, everybody. No more questions. It's been great. There we are. Our 2 hours is up. Thank you very much. Goodbye.